Today is Wednesday, August 30th, and it is a blue moon. Actually, it's a super blue moon. Now, typically there are 12 full moons per year, so 3 full moons per season, but sometimes we get a blue moon, an extra lucky little 13th full moon. The specific full moon that is a blue moon is basically the 3rd full moon of the season that has the 4 full moons. This occurs once every 2 or 3 years, hence the phrase once in a blue moon. But a super moon, a super blue moon, this isn't gonna happen again until 2037. How freaking cool is that? It is, in fact, the rarest of all full moons. And so I'm geeking out a little bit. And to celebrate this, I thought I would focus on some writing related activities that I only get to once in a blue moon. Like drinking tea to start my day instead of coffee. I also did ask y'all over on Instagram what some writing related activities that y'all do only once in a blue moon. And I got some wonderful responses. Also a lot of writing itself, which was very funny. And of course, I am keeping my fingers crossed that the skies will be clear tonight so that we can actually go outside and see the super blue moon, because I'm very excited. I also have a lot of moon related things, so we're gonna see how many I can utilize today. Just fully get in the spirit, you know? All right, I have now finished my tea and pulled up the beginnings of an outline because, let's see, Katie actually said outlining. And that is so true. Even as someone who's a recently reformed outliner, it's just not something that you do a lot, but I've said this in another vlog recently, but I don't know if I posted it and I don't know if I ever will or what state it's in, but I recently realized that I was severely overwriting Project Death, which is something I've never done. It's rarer than once in a blue moon because this is the only story I've ever done it on. I've already been trying to add more words back in, and I think that's where I faced the problem. I realized as I was close to hitting the midpoint and I did some calculations and I realized that it would be like 180,000 words if it continued on the trajectory, and that is way too fucking long. So anyways, what I need to do now is re-outline again. So that is definitely going on the list for today.
What you doing, Buff? Hmm?
So because of my overwriting, I'm going to be re-outlining. I am also still trying to write a screenplay / script. And I will leave a link down below to both Becca and JC and their weekly vlogs for trying to write a script in the whole of August, which is incredible. Although I will say that Becca answered my question with writing a screenplay in a weekend. I've only done this 4 times in my life, but I loved it. Oh my God. A whole screenplay in a weekend. Becca, you are wild. I also really want to try this suggestion, taking a page from a book that I really like and trying to rewrite it and make it better. That sounds super fun. Reading craft books is definitely once in a blue moon, so maybe I'll do a bit of that. And some research, which I do need, and also it is both fortunate and not fortunate, I guess, in some ways, that I don't tend to fall down the research rabbit hole, which is nice because I can pull myself out of it. The problems I have, and I do love research, I like surrounding myself with inspiration, but sometimes that means I have to do the research on the back later and realize that I fucked something up. So maybe some research ahead of time would be nice. A day of research sounds really good, but for our purposes, maybe like an hour. I love this idea of writing a scene I'm stuck on from a completely different point of view. It helps me from time to time. I think I might definitely try that. And I also like the idea of doing an acrostic poem today. It's another one, actually poetry writing in general, that I only do very occasionally. And same with time sprints. I only do them usually when I'm streaming, which admittedly I have not done in a bit, so maybe I should add that too. Writing in public. I love all of this. These are all great suggestions. I'ma do them. First, I should let my dogs back in. Good job, girls. Now, my parents came over for a few hours, which was really fun, but did sort of cut into the writing productivity time. But you know what? I gotta take the parent time when I can, because I swear they're gone half the year now anyways.
Even if you type it, you mail it the old snail mail way.
Okay. Good job, girls. Good job. Thank you for alerting me. I got a second one. This one is for my right wrist. I think the doubling up of typing and crocheting is just making them struggle a little bit. So now I have two. Usually I sleep with the one on and I find that helps a lot. So hopefully this solves some problems. So basically I did some research to figure out how long Project Death should be. Standalone YA fantasy novels need to be around 100,000-ish words. Obviously there are plenty of exceptions, but like for a first time trad pub author like that's what you should be hitting around. And obviously 180,000 is significantly higher than that, almost double that. And so basically I need to go back through the outline that I had and add in goal word counts for where that should be and cut down to those points. What you doing, Vin? You writing? Poem time while I watch the US Open. I think I'm gonna go with Tuobi, the main character in Project Death. Because I've never overwritten anything before, it's actually interesting trying to figure out where to cut now. I was so focused on adding words in and adding new scenes in that I didn't realize I was going overboard. So I'm not quite sure how much of it is I need to directly slash scenes. Potentially do I need to slash like subplots? Or is it, there's no way I actually, is there a way maybe I did just overwrite each scene. Maybe everything can stay, just a little more condensed. Anyways, this is what I've been thinking about all day. But now, it is the poem, like I said. Yes. So do I do Tuovi Toron, which is her full name, or do I just go with Tuovi? Not that it's ever really stated, only a couple times in the story, because of course names can be traded and they're very valuable and you can't tell anyone. So this makes this extra fun for me when I do get to say her name and do get to use her name for anything, frankly. She's also one of the few characters that I named really quickly, so the fact that I can't use her name. Yeah? Do you feel for me? Oh, I brought this on myself, huh? Does anyone else make their dogs especially sassy back? Like, I know I'm substituting everything in for her. She's not actually talking to me, but then why must I make her so sassy? Questioning me all the time. It's rude, Zelda. The side eye I cannot do. She does that on her own. Are you ready to go inside and work on an acrostic poem? Are you ready to work on a poem? Shitty poem. Success. Actually, that was quite fun. Got to the heart of her quite quickly. I liked it. I was using this for a visual reference earlier, but I think I'm actually going to use a craft book tonight. More specifically, this craft book. Well, that's better. Voiceover editing Kate to say that I will be continuing to work on this over the course of the night, but I wanted to pop in and ask y'all what your favorite writing craft book is, and also how often you actually either reference or reread or use the craft book. I'm curious how much you've integrated what you've learned from the book into your like routine or process, but also how often you like quite literally have your eyes on it for inspiration. Cannot tell. Moon, will you appear for me tonight? All right, Moonrise for San Antonio is at 8:08 and it is 8:07. I will say it looks quite dark from here and not like nighttime dark, but overcast dark. Here is a shitty video of the moon though. I had to walk past all of the trees in order to get it, but it was very cool in person. I love seeing the outline of the clouds just because of how strong the moon's light was. It was, you know, a nice orange yellow, very Halloween-y, which is personally all I could ever hope for on a full moon, especially a super blue moon. And it's one of those where the vibes truly are just so wonderful. I'm operating on very little sleep and still kind of coming off of a migraine recently, and it's just the thing to like push me over the edge to actually do stuff, and I needed it, and thank you, moon. Now theoretically, okay, the moon should be rising over this way. Well, my camera died, but I can just barely see the moon through the trees. When all else fails, I do know one other way to write by the moon tonight. So the fun part of today is that almost all of my writing was actually done in the afternoon, into the evening, into the night. Usually I do morning writing and I maybe save like an hour of writing to do in the darkness, or in like, you know, late evening hours, which I quite enjoy. But now I'm really getting a taste of like full creativity at night. Truly once in a blue moon for me. And I'm going to continue working on my screenplay or my script to try and do this monthly challenge. I still have today and tomorrow, what remains of today, and all of tomorrow to see if I can't get it all done in the month of August. Spoiler alert, I don't think that's going to happen, but I am going to try and get it done this week. So any progress made today will help me for the rest of that time. Ooh. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, I'm getting a double moon going, so let's go outside and then I'll tell you how this went. From here I turned and could see, I don't know if you can see that. Another moon. That top leaf kind of looks like a bat about to descend upon the moon. Now, I did have writing outside as a blue moon activity because I really don't get to do it often, and I really thought about it, because how great would it be to write under the light of the moon? But when I was on my walk to see if I could find the moon, I smacked a mosquito off my arm, and I decided that that was enough of a sign that it was a bad idea. Maybe I will try repeating a write outside activity vlog, something, when it is colder and the mosquitoes are mostly dead and or gone. Now, I've been following along with Sid Field's Screenplay, The Foundations of Screenwriting, for AuthorTube chat, and so I've been actually writing and planning out a screenplay for a movie. But for the challenge for August, I've been trying to work on a script for my Scooby-Doo meets Princess Bride concept, and I basically am very behind on that, but I have nailed down now the two incidents, which according to Sid are the inciting incident and the key incident, and that really kicks off our first act of our story, of our script, of our screenplay. I've also figured out plot point 2, which takes us into act 3. I don't exactly have plot point 1 though. That's the only thing remaining that I don't have exactly. I have the concept nailed down for the setup. If act 1's the setup, act 2 is confrontation, and act 3 is a resolution of those things. I have a lot of the setup, but what serves exactly as the plot point, I haven't quite nailed down. What I have learned in trying to write what I do have of my script is that you really do have to outline scripts and screenplays, I guess, because they go by the minute, in that if you think of 1 page of the script or screenplay equals 1 minute of what you would see. Yeah, it's just more outlining. And because the format is so different, I don't yet know a way to sort of like BS or zero draft my way through it. I don't mean BS is a bad thing, but like, you know, sometimes I'll just start writing and I have to start writing to find where I'm going, and then I can, you know, delete it or move it or whatever, and then like I have it in my head. I have not found that system to work for me while doing a script or a screenplay. So anyways, just fascinating learning about a different form of writing, and I am still really excited. I feel better having nailed down everything else, and if I can just get plot point 1 tomorrow, I think I'll have all of it. So then I can actually finish writing out the whole thing. Ooh, for now though. She's beauty, she's grace. I think that's gonna be all from me tonight. Good night to you and good night, Moon. On to the next. I have returned to coffee this morning. Yum. And while the moon has now set, it hasn't made its full okay since this vlog started. So we're going to include today and also cross through some of the stuff we got done yesterday. We did super late night writing. We did not do writing outside, that's okay. Already crossed off writing a screenplay script, re-outlining, overwriting, lol, poem, and we did do time sprints. Now all I have, except actually, let me add one more thing. My friend and I are going to do a plotting session together, which I have not done in a long time, so I'm gonna count this. Once at a blue moon. And then we still need to do, whoop, end of month goals. And by that I mean it is the end of the month, so we need to do September's goals. Where has the year gone? I don't know. This is what getting old is. How fortunate I am to get old, but I swear I blinked and summer was gone, which honestly is probably for the best. Not a great summer. Very hot, very migraine-y. Fall, I am ready for you. I think while I organize my calendar at least, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up Jess's Summer Scare Readathon TBR so that I can get some ideas, because I will be participating, notification on, in her yearly Summer Scare Readathon. I also need to make a full list of Summer Scare books. Heck yes.
Hi friends.
Hi Jess.
Yes.
Okay.
The rules are made up and the points don't matter, so.
The rules are made up and the points don't matter. That's how I feel for a lot of things. And it makes it more fun. And I'm very excited for the Summer Scare Readathon. I already have a couple of ideas and I wrote down the prompts, and you can see September goals is just Project Death. What I am doing is I've moved a lot of stuff to Notion, and so I wanted to have a page for just my September goals, but I also needed to put in that I will be at a concert up in Dallas. My friend and I are going to go with my brother, and we'll stay with my brother for a night after the concert. And then I have the writing retreat with Miss Jess and a few others, and I'm actually gonna road trip up. It is like, oh, how many hours away is it? Let's see. No big deal. It is just 20 hours away from me. One of my brothers lives in Dallas. To get out of the state from San Antonio going north, you basically have to go through Dallas. And then my other brother lives in St. Louis. And so I'm actually going to take a little diversion and go up this way and then work my way over to Chillicothe. This is going to be very morbid, and I haven't told my brothers this, but I was listening to a podcast because I love podcasts. But someone was making the point that, if you only see your family during certain times, like during holidays or something, which tends to be when my family gets to see each other because we're all so spread out and everyone has very different jobs. So like my brother who works in a hospital versus my brother who's working corporate, versus their partners who are corporate and working in a school versus, you know, so it's just all over the place, which can make it hard to like come together outside of holiday time when more or less everyone can maybe get off. Anyways, so I was listening to this podcast and they were talking about if you only see each other during those times, then you can basically count how many times you'll see each other like in the rest of your life. And I was like, this is awful. So anyways, I was like, let's see if I can visit them more often. And there was no direct flights up to where I was going anyways. So it was going to be a little bit longer of a trek anyways. And I was like, I can just drive. And you know what? If I go down, I can actually hit Nashville on the way back, and I can do a bit of a writing research trip, because I would love to return to Murder Mystery Tennessee now that I think I'm better at writing mysteries and better at structuring them and not waiting until the end to realize that maybe the reader has to be able to guess who did it too. And so it actually works out pretty well, and then I can come back down and hit up this brother again who I can stay with. That one will be out of town on the way back. So anyways, I will be gone for quite a bit then, but you know what? I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. It'll be worth it. And I'm excited to get to see my brothers more, and I'm excited to get to see, you know, so many of my writing friends in person, so it's gonna be great. This does mean that it cuts into Project Death time, because inevitably I will be driving, you know, 10 plus hours on this trip and the concert and everything else, and I'll be with my friend and my brother, so there's just not gonna be any writing on this time. And then I will be driving so much, and then once again with my brothers and spending time together, that I know that those days are just thrown out. So that doesn't leave me, if you look at this, with a whole lot of days. So it's just something that I need to account for, especially since I'm now realizing that I have a new overwriting problem that I've never had before. And it's fine. It's fine. So I just have a little bit more to fill in, and a little bit more of Jess to listen to and watch her other video that had the suggestions. The plus side is for AuthorTube Chat Book Club this month. For September, we're actually reading a thriller, which is one of the prompts for the Summer Scare Readathon horror thriller. We're going to be reading and watching Gone Girl, which I'm very excited about. I have only ever watched the movie, I've never read the book, so I think that's gonna be really fun. And I honestly might count it as outside of my comfort zone. I have read thrillers before, and I like thrillers, but I don't read them all that often, and they tend to be like a little bit heftier. We'll see. We'll see how I count it. I'll get some suggestions. Let us continue. So that is my cute little return to library stack. And after looking through everything, I am going to pick up Delicious Monsters by Lizelle and read that for the spooky word in the title. I think monsters counts as spooky. And Diverse to Me. So that one is available at my library right now. So I'm going to pick that up, and while I am there, I'm going to look for a middle grade book, hopefully with a pumpkin on the cover, that is under 200 pages. So we'll see. If I can't get that all in one book, I'll try and get it in two. I actually recently read this book for another vlog, and it could have fit, it could have fit. That's all right, I am confident I can find another. Had a little mini nap on the couch, which I don't normally do. And what I also don't normally do is have a cappuccino this late, but my partner's flight gets in at 11:55 p.m. if it's not delayed. And then literally the next morning, less than 6 hours later, I need to take my mother-in-law to the airport. Now, I forgot that my mom suggested I write a handwritten letter and actually mail it. So I got this card a while ago, and I think now truly is the best time to write it and send it. Letter done. All right. It is just about time for my plotting session with my friend. I asked if we could do it on the phone instead of a call, because I think I'm maxing out on my screen time for the day. So it goes. I realized, of course, it's the 31st, and I had wanted to submit to a couple of like monthly contests for both a drabble and a short story, and I actually wrote out, I'd say, like the first draft of both of those, but I think what I'm gonna have to do taking in all of this into account, the summerness of my and intensity of my migraines during this time. I think if I want to submit to those, I need to do all of this work in the early half of the month. That way, when something inevitably happens, I'll still have time, because I kept pushing it off and I would work on it like here and there, but I just didn't dedicate enough time to it compared to like other stuff. But then I ran out of time because of when the migraines happened. So this is like a lesson to me, depending on how important it is and when deadlines are. I just need to shuffle around my priorities for each month. That is in part why, let me scroll up for my goals. Obviously all of Project Death, I have this writing a script in a month, and I have publishing L3. And so those are the only writing goals for the month. And I put the due dates on there. Having said that though, what I'm gonna do is each day that I am able to write, I will work on Project Death first. That's just how it's gonna have to be. The due dates are with our fingers crossed, but yeah, that's just gonna help. Just gonna be how it has to be. I would also, I guess I could put the short story goals on here, but one of them doesn't announce what the prompt is until the 7th. So anyways, I'm learning through everything. Thankfully, as the seasons change, my migraines decrease in frequency, which is like a pattern I've noticed over the past couple of years. And that is nice for those times, but I guess what happens is I then forget, or have in the past forgotten, what worked until the end of summer. That's okay. I'm gonna remember this time. I'm gonna put like a note to myself at the start of summer in my phone and be like, FYI. It's not a bad idea. It's gonna pop up in like May of next year. I'll be like, oh yeah. Okay, I think it's almost call time.
You have your end of book 3, magic is for everyone. You have your end of book 2, he destroys the veil. At the end of book 1, does his master die?
Well, this can also be used to light a YouTube video. Woo. Unfortunately, my husband's flight was considerably delayed, and so I didn't pick him up. We didn't get home till like 3:30 in the morning. And then I did leave at like 5:30 to go pick up my mother-in-law and take her to the airport. So it was a day. I got like 2 hours of sleep. It wasn't that bad. I did mostly chill on Friday. And so I did not get to everything on my list for Once in a Blue Moon. Like, I did not write in public. I didn't write a scene that I'm stuck on from a different point of view. I didn't take a page from a book I really liked and tried to rewrite it to make it better. And I didn't do an hour of research. But maybe the next full moon, you know? Actually, that would be a good question for y'all. So what's an activity you do once in a blue moon, but what's an activity you do once every full moon-ish amount of time? Do you actually have a moon-based ritual? I would love to know. But, you know, once a month, what do you find yourself doing that's sort of writing related? Is it a refresh of your story? Do you go back and reread parts? Do you have a write anything day once a month where you can just do whatever, just dump all of the ideas out of your brain? Let me know. I'm very curious, but I had so much fun with this. I love the moon. Thank you to everyone who answered my question over on Instagram, and thank you especially to some of my new patrons this month. Tiffany Hensley, Mila, Rachel Kreider, Alyssa Curtis, Kimberly, Manders, Amy Morton, Danielle Russell, Tiara M, Fee, and Victoria, and I will see you all very soon with a new video. Bye!